นะครับ
โอเค
All right. Okay. So I'm gonna officially start the presentation. So we're gonna be here for our senior project proposal presented by my name is Thongrop Boji, the fourth year ISE major student.
And my name is Ras Chuchan, fourth year I student.
Okay, so the session is gonna be a 15-minute presentation with the Q&A session afterwards. And the topics we're gonna cover is following here. Firstly, we're gonna cover what is the situation that actually gave us the inspiration for this idea. Then we're gonna identify the problem and covered how our solutions and also the engineering approach coming from. Then we're gonna address what the expected outcome of our project will be, as well as mentioning the challenges. And last one, we're gonna cover where we are at the project management. Okay, so starting first, how does we actually develop the situation from the current industry? Currently, in the financial industry, one of the biggest activities for the revenue is for the lending business. Assuming we look at a one-person point of view, let's look at Jake. Jake is trying to get his personal loan approved for his personal use, maybe going to buy a car. And how to do that? Then Jake decided to go to the bank and apply his document to the loan officers. So there are two possible possibility. Firstly is if he get his loan approved, if the officers think that he's capable of paying the loan back, or otherwise he will get rejected. So the payment period will be done after Jake get approved. So he has to pay the annuity every month or else the loan get terminated. And the model used for the loan officers to evaluate whether Jake has the financial capability to pay or not are including the loan payment histories, the current debt that Jake has, the credit histories, and also other sources of public records that they can track of. So in the end of these stories, Jake waited a week to get his loan approved, but then the bank never heard from him again. That's been he's actually escaping and flying with the money. And now, even though it is illegal, but now it's the bank problem because it's a bad debt.
So what are the problems in this situation? The officer is a human who takes the traditional route to approve his loan. It's very slow for Jake to get his money. Also, according to the University of New South Wales, the accuracy of human officer is roughly 70%, which leads to the mistake of approving Jake's loan. Also, there is a problem with data unavailability, where it is only considered in the scope of traditional credit scoring, which leads to the customer being underserved.
Okay, now we come up with our solution based on the problem we define. Our solution has the objective to maximize the accuracy in loan approval and also to open up new opportunity for the underserved. So to do this, we need to address two topics. Firstly, we need to find new data set for the consideration of the loan. And secondly, we're gonna use the machine learning instead of the human loan officers to evaluate the data set of the loan documentary. So for the new data set, we decided to combine the traditional data sets and also the new alternatives so that we explore and find the one that worked best. For the traditional data, we could mention some of it that we decided to take into consideration, including the income amount, which is the money he has a month, the annuity amount is the money he has to pay for the loan, and the other loan information about the current loan he decided to apply. Then for the alternative data, we are proud to present the new data we take into consideration, which is the occupation type, by hoping that it will imply directly to the person's financial capability to pay back the loan, as well as their ages. And we also did some of the new features to be engineered before feeding to the machine, like the annuity ratio, which come from the income divided by the annuity ratio. In terms of the new algorithm, we experienced with several algorithms like the decision tree, the random forest, and the gradient boosting. So how does these two new solution helping our current situation? So firstly, in the loan appliers point of view, we can of course detect more people like Jake that who should be likely rejected, and as well as the bank that they're gonna open up for the new underserved, so they're gonna maximize their revenue as well as minimizing the bad debt. And the algorithm development process, we changed the datasets combination and changing the model to try to iterate and find the best methods to calculate the loan approval process by having our objective to maximize the accuracies and also the recall. So why recall specifically, we're going to address this in the next slides. And the technique that we use first is the feature engineering, where we improve the machine taking input so that they can develop better patterns based on our feature. Also, the sample balancing, which is really important, that our data set that we access from the Kaggle competition, they are skewed towards the not default loan, because of course in the history of the lending business, most of it gonna be not default loans, but we needed to have more example of the default cases. And the other methods are just to help improve our accuracies and recalls.
So next is the expected outcome. So the expected outcome includes 85% accuracy and 80% recall on the default cases. The accuracy ensures to overall quality of the model that we use to predict. And the reason we focus on recall is to minimize the loss of the bank and try to avoid most defaulters. With high recall, there will be low false negative, which will help reduce bad debt for financial institutes. Also, overall efficiency improvement, which reduce the time for the approval process compared to the manual process. And we aim to develop a machine learning model that is capable of adapting to the new variable and alternative scoring. Next is the challenges. These are the challenges we face and will be facing during this project. First is the data availability. Finding a suitable data with usable features is quite difficult, since many companies and financial institutes keep their data confidential. However, we are able to discover the data sets that is suitable and fit our project scope. Next is the data preprocessing. In the data sets, there are many missing values and data that needs to be normalized and comprehended. Lastly, ethical consideration. So using the data that is open to everyone and also ensure that approval decisions are made without discrimination such as race and gender. Here is our project plans and roadmap. First, during August, we did research on suitable datasets and financial information and models. Later, we did data pre-processing, where we fill out missing values and use financial knowledge to create relevant features that would improve the performance. After that, we create the model and different algorithms. So after this, in the second semester, we will keep developing our models while evaluating the performance of the models. Also conducting features analysis to determine how significant each factor performs behind the default rate. And lastly, final model training and quality assurance to ensure the quality and correctness of the model and findings.
Okay, so we're gonna update you guys more in terms of our current status of the research. We are currently in the model creation and evaluation steps. The best model that we have iterated and worked with so far is the random forest, with the features taking into consideration, firstly, of course, the traditional one, and some engineering features like the ratio mentioned before, as well as the age and occupation type. However, the results in terms of the accuracy wise is satisfied now, but we are struggling in terms of achieving the right recall. So the next step that we're going to implement and improve this recall will be we will iterate more of the feature combination. Maybe in terms of the Kaggle competition, they have quite a lot of hundreds of the columns that we could explore and experience on. Maybe we're gonna implement more of the external tests that could imply the financial capability to pay back. And secondly, we're going to feature engineer more of the currently existing input. Like we might try to find the mean of the external test that they took before we put into the our machine, as well as finding the standard deviation of it. And lastly, we're going to explore on more of the models rather than random forest. Okay, so we came to the conclusion of our presentation. So our idea developed from the actual pain point of the financial institution industries, more specifically the loan approval. Then the solution came from two things combined together: the algorithm power, as well as we explore on more creative features. And it has resulted on three major value proposition. Firstly is the fast and bottleneck of the working operation of loan approval process. Secondly, we aim to be more financially inclusive in terms of the underserved or unbanked customers, so they can be in this system and reduce the polarize of our society. And last one is we improve the better accuracies of the loan approval process by substitute the human with the algorithm. So this will sum up our presentation. Thank you. And next will be answering questions.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Professor, if you have question, please ask our student.
Okay, so at first, I have some experience working with the real industry of the loan, the credit scoring, maybe for like five to 10 years. At first, the word, your example that someone get the money and then they don't willing to pay back anymore. Actually, the technical term that this one is the frauding, or apply for the loan and then intend to not paying anymore, the in the case that you present in the first stage of your presentation. It should be the front one. It's separated from the default case. And as a second one, I'd like to ask for the data set. Where did your data set come from?
Okay, firstly, thank you for the recommendation. We aim that our solution did not just detecting the fraud, but as well as the financial incapable people as well. But this is just the example that could emphasize the usage, and we will adjust according to your recommendation. Thank you. And
Yeah,
secondly,
I think you have to focus just only one case, the default case, the one that
maybe
cannot
it's
get
too
back.
difficult, maybe with the fraud,
Yeah.
because the profile of the people who are the fraudsters may be very different. We don't know.
Yes. The fraud one is different, very different. Yeah.
all right, we'll focus the scope of the normal lending. Thank you. And
But
Russ, can you
I
share?
don't think you did right about the fraud in the report. Did I get it wrong?
No, we didn't actually
Alright.
mention the fraud, but we think it might be the great idea to.
No, I think the profile will be different. Okay.
All right, thank you. And my friend here is going to share the actual inputs of data sets that we got. Just a second. So it basically come from the Kaggle's competition, which from the loan, the home credit company. They are open up the competition for us to explore on using the actual history of the data sets. They have like a lot of the columns that aim for us to explore both on using the traditional data as well as the alternative ones. The alternative ones, they have from ages, other demographic information up to like location of their apartment, how many cars they have, how many childs they have, and as well as their previous application. Russ, can you share?
So in this competition, when this issue 5 years ago, right? Okay, so there should be many techniques or many source code that many people try to work on this. Or did you study on some works relating to this one?
Okay, so we actually explore more onto what they have done and as well as the other external research. So we came up with one of the research that combining the traditional data with the alternatives will yielding the most accuracies. And by alternative data, I mean the data that actually come from social medias and other track records that could be traced by digitally, because that is what the fintech is using nowadays. But our data that we use, we aim to explore on different inputs. For example, we mentioned the occupation type and the ages. So we explore on our own in terms of what kind of input should be best to imply the financial capability of ones. So of course that a lot of people have been experiencing, as you see that a lot of teams has joined the competition, but we think that we still have the chance to explore more on the creativity side as well as the data availability. For example, like in Thailand specifically, maybe we are not capable of tracking the actual alternatives data yet. So I think that one of the data that available right now and are not taking into consideration by a lot of banks is the occupation type. How long has they been working in certain company? Do they have the work permit or stuff like that? I think that we should have some opportunity to open up to more of the underserved customer by taking into consideration that way.
Okay, I think many of your research question, I would like to use this term. It is what you are talking is the research question that this one will work with this domain or not, something like that. So I think one research question that you should try to work on is uh, how the good classifier or how the good approach that has been done before, how does it work, which using which techniques or using which features, because we cannot get the data in Thailand for sure. The data that is the main one for your work must be the data from here, right? From Kaggle. So there should be some features that you are talking about in the data. Is it true?
Yeah, I agree with you that there are a lot of people experiencing with some models, and we have been looking into their examples, so they share what they did just roughly, but not the soft code on how they implement and achieve the desired results.
Okay, so it means that if you focus on the feature engineering or try to find the new features, of course, the new feature should be the one that is like the relationships between the existing features, right? Because you cannot find the new features from this data set. Is it true?
So I would say that there has been like a lot of columns, like 400 columns, and people that are achieving the desired amount, like the top 10, they are using pretty much the same data, like focusing mainly on the traditional data and do a little feature engineering with a little to no implication on the alternative data sets. So even though they are achieving best, but we are exploring in like the new different aspect. Like we try to actually force ourselves to take into consideration some of the new alternative data to see if it would yield the different results, even though not the best accuracy, but maybe we are better in terms of the recall, or if this model work without actually taking some of the traditional data. I mean, like if we are less dependent on one or two of the traditional data, then I would consider this as a success, as we try to be more agile and be more open up to the underserved, but while keeping our performance of evaluating loans.
Okay, so I think that the one that they should like should have done before in the like for the one that you mentioned, maybe the top 10 teams. I think many of them should already work on the feature engineering. Please check on their work and just because this one is a data set that is a competition, right? So in your final presentation, in the first stage after this, I think you should analyze their work, the work of like top 10 teams, and then you can see that which feature did they use, or which uh, did they use the feature engineering before, or did they add some new features that is should be very useful for your work, and you can start working from that point. And then the other thing is, I'm not sure that you use the term that is like alternative data or the new data. My question is, the new data that you mentioned or plan to plan to use is the one in the data set, or the one that you think that is like the new one that is not in the data set? This one, not in this data set.
So of the data set we use is in this competition. They provide us, but nobody used because there are like a lot of them. So I think it's a great opportunity for us to try something new and experience on how each of the feature works. But yes,
Okay.
we didn't use external data.
Did use or didn't use?
Didn't use. They has
Didn't
their
use.
own column that called external sources, but it
Okay.
is still in this.
Okay. So my request is the first one of the study that should be added into your final project presentation should be the analysis of the previous works that has been done in this competition. Which feature they are using, that did they use, and did they apply the features engineering techniques to their work? Okay, and some, I think if you focus on the learner, if you focus on the features, no need to study about the learner. Because in your work that you present here, you decided to use the random forest one, right? So I think you just study the features and feature engineering techniques that they use in their works. And one thing that I think you done very well is you focusing on the imbalance techniques that the data should be like that. I think not highly balanced, but it should be like in balance. Can you show the distribution of the default cases and non-default cases?
Thank you for your recommendation. So it is pretty skewed in terms towards the not default cases. So
how about the person? Do you know that?
What is the
Okay.
percentage? So like 1 to 10, like just only 10% are the
Around 10%.
default.
Okay. So one of the techniques that I suggest you to do is try to we call it the undersampling, because I think in the non-default cases there should be many cases that can be grouped together, or they are like very close to other cases in the same group. Okay, so please try to do the undersampling, but for the oversampling, I think it should be fine also. But the data will be, I think, very inconsistency, because in the real world, the people, for example, two borrowers that has like very close characteristics to others, they are like maybe two persons that is very close to each other, or their same characteristics may have different results, maybe categorized into different group. That's the problems. So I think you should try to do the data exploration. You have to work in the like the data science style. Like you have to analyze the data that, for example, you should analyze the you already mentioned means and standard deviation of each attributes, that is but you have to categorize them. If you plot in using like pairwise, using the seaborns in the using pandas in seaborns, you will see what I say. You can focus on the the feature that is like has different means. So that those features may be the good ones that you can try. But I think your data will have like the problem of inconsistency, I think. So please check about this one. That one thing that I recommend you to do is please use the clustering techniques to apply to your data first, and then you will see that are there many clusters that contains the data from both classes. So in those characteristics or those group of people, those group of borrowers, maybe has the problems of inconsistency. So you have to work on like the stage of data science that work on try to do the data exploration first. Okay, I think that's all of my question and recommendation ครับอาจารย์
ครับขอบคุณมากครับ
Yes, really helpful. We're gonna explore on data science.
Okay. I think we actually reached the time.
โอเคครับพอดีเลยป่ะครับโต
พ
ห
อ
รือ
ดี
ว่า
ครับพอดีครับ
พอดี
เดี๋ยวมี
ครับ
กลุ่ม
โอเค
ต่อ
ครับ
เลยครับ
ขอไปครับดังนั้นพี่บ๊อบขออนุญาตลีฟนะครับ
ครับผม
แล้ว
ขอบ
เดี๋ยว
คุณ
เรา
มาก
ค่อ
ค
ย
รับ
คุยกันว่าเราให้คะแนนกันยังไงนะครับ
ครับ
ครับ
และรีพอร์ตก็รีพอร์ตลงไปแล้วใช่ไหม
ใช่ครับ
ในระบบเนาะ
อันนี้เราต้องของ IC ต้อง Moodle ป่ะเหมือนเดิม
ต้อง Moodle
ป่ะ
ครับ
ต้องส่ง
ครับ
ใน Moodle
ได้ครับ เดี๋ยวจัดการให้ครั
โอเค
บ
ครับขอบคุณ